Alright, so this meme I found on YouTube says to choose which superpower of all of these if you could only pick one. As you can see, I picked telepathy, and apparently I'm in the minority because only 19% of people agree with me, but I'm going to explain why all of the other ones are a huge mistake, and why telepathy is by far the easy choice here. So let's get started with flight. Let me explain what's wrong with that. You only get one superpower. You don't get a combination of superpowers to help you compensate. So if one of your superpowers results in a weakness, you don't get other powers to compensate for it. So when it comes to flight, unless you give me a force field to help deal with all of the birds and mosquitoes that are in the air, because think about it, you're flying through the air. The sky is not as clear as you think it is. There are birds, there are mosquitoes, there are all kinds of nasty things up in the sky, and you're flying at the speed of sound thinking everything's okay, and then when you land, you have to basically wipe a whole bunch of crap off your face, and that could possibly blind you. Not to mention, in upper atmosphere, it's extremely cold. If you're flying low over a city, you're going to be breathing in all of the exhaust fumes from the vehicles. There's pretty much no upside to flight other than maybe you don't have to walk. But still, think about it. Imagine you're flying down the street in New York or Chicago or some other place like that, and some moody teenager just decides to use you as target practice. Unless you get the super speed to help you compensate for people wanting to shoot at you because they think you're a UFO, you're pretty much screwed with flight. Now let's talk about invisibility. This one is the easiest one to debunk in all of this. Think about it. You're invisible. That means that light perfectly passes through you. Do you realize how sight works? The light has to go into your eyeball and stop at the back of your retina. That's basically where your brain receives the light waves and uses it to form an image that results in sight. If the light is passing through you, it's also going to pass through your retina and not stop at your retina, which means your brain doesn't pick up an image. In other words, if the light is going through your eye and not stopping in your eye, you're blind. You will not be able to see. I hope that makes any sense to you guys, but basically invisibility, you can't see the world and the world can't see you. To me, that's kind of the worst of both worlds. This is the fastest way to get hit by a vehicle. Alright, super strength. You're in the kitchen cooking eggs. You go to flip the eggs and you accidentally throw your pan through the ceiling and a bunch of drywall rains down on your stove. You're high-fiving your best friend and you accidentally smack his arm off. You're in bed with your wife and you accidentally pump too hard and kill her. Think about that time in Dragon Ball Z where basically Goku was picking up Chi-Chi and what did he do? He pat her on the back and slammed her through the house. I think that's basically what happened there. That's why super strength would not necessarily be a good thing. And in order to keep your super strength, you need super regeneration. Because let's say you accidentally move your arm too fast and tear a muscle. Now you have to recover even more dense musculature. So that's why I don't think that that one is the best one to go with. Now for super speed. Super speed has a lot of the same problems that flight does. Unless you get a force field around your body, you're not going to be able to resist the inertial forces that will act on you when you go into super speed. So let's say you're standing on one side of a football field, you go to dash to the other side of the football field in less than a second. That's pretty cool. But guess what? Going from a standstill to whatever hyperspeed you're going, that's going to cause a lot of inertia on your body, and that could disrupt your skeletal structure. That would kind of be like smacking into a brick wall. Or another way to think about this is as you run really quickly, your body is going to bump up against a bunch of molecules that are in the air, and that can tear your skin off or set you on fire if you're going fast enough. I mean, think about the friction that you generate when you strike a match. You strike a match pretty quickly, except in this case, your body is the match, and the particles in the air are basically like the sandpaper that you use when you strike the match. So unless you get a force field to cope with that, or you get regenerative powers so that you can regenerate once you stop moving, this one pretty much is going to suck for you. And now we get to telepathy. Why is telepathy by far the best option? I mean, think about it. Telepathy is the ability to read minds and to communicate mentally with other people. If you had this power, you could easily become the most powerful person in your country. I mean, think about this. you can read the CEO's mind, and that can help you make decisions on what you invest on in the stock market. If you ever found yourself trying to get a job, you can read the employer's mind and know what he wants you to say, and then you can get that job easily. If you're wanting to be a politician, you can read your opponent's mind during a political debate, anticipate whatever they're going to say, and then have the perfect rebuttal already ready for them, and they lose outright. You could also become a member of Congress or the Senate, or even become the president, and no matter what group of people you're talking to, you can reach into their mind, know what they really want, and to be able to convince them of it. If for some reason you ever got arrested and put on trial, you could read the jury's mind and know whether or not they're being convinced of your case, and you can formulate the perfect defense to get yourself acquitted. And most importantly, you could use this power to solve murder mysteries. And if you're a powerful enough telepath, you could even influence the thoughts of others without even having to say a word to them. So you could basically become a powerful president slash CEO slash politician, or whatever it is you want. You could basically become like, imagine if you were to combine Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill Gates. Not in terms of their personal habits. I just mean in terms of the amount of influence and power that people like that wield. That's what you could accomplish if you had telepathy. Imagine not having to study, because you can just read the professor's mind and know what information to get from them. I mean, there is almost no situation in which this wouldn't be an awesome power to have. The one downside I could possibly think is if you read the mind of like a pervert and now you have disturbing images stuck in your brain. But other than that, this would be the coolest superpower by far to have, because you basically would have no limitations in terms of the earthly abilities you would have with it. Anyway, this was just a little thought experiment. Let me know what you think in the comments below.